this will be 30 minutes long. I'm going to finish earlier not. It's fine. I'm still remain open for 30 minutes. Apologies that we were a little bit late getting started. How this, well, first I'll introduce the bylaws. Bylaw 2015-08 that we're looking at here. It is a redesignation bylaw for the Vista Crossing redesignation proposal. Very structured plan here. How we're going to work this is those folks, first of all, everybody needs to be signed into the back. If you haven't signed in and you're here, you need to do so. If you wish to, we're going to have a presentation by staff, and then we're going to have the applicant's presentation. Then we're going to have folks, I believe that's right, the applicants have a bit of a presentation, or if they wish, just a short one. If they wish to say something, then anybody who wants to speak in favor needs to be registered and leave at the back that they want to speak in favor. So you got to sign at the back that you're in favor and wish to speak. If you're speaking for yourself, you get 5 minutes to address council. If you're speaking for a group, you get 10 minutes to address council. You cannot speak for yourself and also be covered within a group. So if you're not with the group and you're on your own, that's fine. But if you're also with the group, then you get that time to speak in favor. After all the people who want to speak in favor have spoken, we'll have all the folks who want to speak that are opposed will get the same thing, 10 minutes if they're speaking for a group, 5 minutes for themselves. If your support is qualified, in other words, you support them on a condition of X, Y, Z, you're actually considered opposed, and you would speak in the opposed, not in favor. You're only in favor if you're totally in favor and you have no opposition whatsoever. If your name appears on a petition, you're going to be deemed to have spoken. You may not speak if you're on a petition. I don't think that means a whole place. I'm sure. If you wish to speak and your name's on a petition, you need to remove it from the petition. I think that's about everything. I'll defer to our CEO. Have I missed anything, Ken? Okay, so I will turn the time over to Ken for anything that administration wishes to share. Okay, we'll proceed from there.
Okay, so this application is for redesignation from urban reserve to R1B, which is residential single detached medium lot district, to R1C, residential single detached small lot district, R2 residential 2 dwelling, as well as an open space and stormwater management with NUM, which is municipal and institutional district. The legal description is a portion of Southwest 35-28-1 Musketaquid. The lot area is 11.62 hectares or 28.71 acres. The location is within the town of Crossville. The applicant is Brown and Associates Planning Group, and the applicant's submission is in accordance with the proposal noted above. The circulation was done via advertisement in the Mountain Weekly, internal and external agencies and adjacent landowners. The existing land use designation is urban reserve. Background: prior to 2009, this parcel of land was within the Rocky County District. In 2009, through the negotiated annexation agreement, this parcel of land came to be within the town of Crossville boundary. Its current use is cultivated farmland. The parcel of land has residential subdivisions to the east and south and cultivated farmland to the west and north. Access to this parcel of land for phase 1 will be via Highway 574 and then Avenue and directly north of Sunset Lane. The redesignation application proposes residential districts. The purpose of the residential single detached medium lot district R1B is to provide for residential development in the form of single detached dwellings on medium-sized lots. The purpose of residential single detached small lot district R1C is to provide for residential development in the form of single detached dwellings on small lots within the main subdivisions. The purpose of the residential single detached small lot district R1C is to provide for low density residential neighborhoods comprising of single detached, semi-detached, and duplex dwellings. The purpose of the municipal and institutional districts MUN is to provide for public, community, municipal, and institutional uses that provide public services and amenities to the community. So again, bylaw 2015-8 is a bylaw to this bylaw was already given first reading at the May 20th council meeting. Circulation comments and concerns are attached.
This is kind of one of the quirks of the way the municipal government acts. Technically, all we're talking about right now is, are we going to rezone land? Is this a good place to build houses? Technically, we're not really talking about the green development, but in reality, we are. So I guess we should open the floor, and council, we don't really have a lot of report on the administration side, other than to be ready to answer any questions that the public may have.
Sure, and would it fall to us to answer those questions, or would it fall to Dream to answer those questions?
Whoever wants to answer them, our role here is to provide information to our community. If anybody speaks against the development, obviously between Dream and myself, hopefully we have good answers.
Sure. The other thing I would point out, just to clarify for council members, and then for yourself, is our job isn't to be in favor or against anything right now in the public hearing. Our job is to hear the public from a neutral standpoint, to hear their concerns, both for and against, and to consider things with an open mind and not a predetermined mind. And then after that, move into the public part of our meeting, or in the regular council meeting, that's when we can start to formulate opinions. But we're biased at this point in this exercise as well. So we have to make sure that our minds are open to anything and everything we may hear. So I think we'll start off hearing the opposed and then the fors, and then maybe we'll do the question part, because I don't want to create tension for those who wish to speak against. I want them to feel comfortable that they can speak against if that's what they wish to do. And I want those who want to speak forward to feel comfortable as well. So let me just grab my sheet. Speaking against. We got nobody speaking for and nobody speaking against. So that simplifies that. Okay, is there anybody who has any questions? We have no force and no against. So if you have questions, feel free to ask, because there's nobody speaking.
You guys signed the wrong paper there. That was just a sign-in sheet.
Oh, do you want to sign in as for or against, sir?
You're Kevin, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You signed in on the public hearing, and it's got speaking in favor or against, and you don't have anything marked in
I
there.
didn't even do that.
Well, we can amend that. That's fine. Which one would you like to be in?
Against.
Against? Okay, I'll put you in here as against. This Kevin?
Yeah.
Okay, Kevin, are you representing yourself or a group?
Myself.
Okay, go ahead. You have the floor for 5 minutes. As soon as you
Just
get
finish
your
my support.
Sure.
No. I don't have too much to say about it. I'm not opposed to development in its concept. The big thing that my wife are opposed to is the destruction of those trees along Lemon Avenue. We think they're heritage trees. They provide a lot of habitat for wildlife. And quite frankly, I think we should have a green space along there and develop it as a green space. Provides a buffer for that development against the road. Also, a lot of the kids in the neighborhood play there. It's a unique space, and they're unique trees. Some people say, oh, they're past their prime, but they're actually not all of one cohort. There's different age trees in that line. And they actually have withstood a lot of very tough winds in that because they're totally exposed. So they actually survived better than a lot of the trees that got destroyed in that last big snowstorm event we had. They had a few branches break where a lot of the trees in the town had big pieces taken off, right? So with some maintenance and development, that could be a very unique green space for the town. And that's all our concerns are about that.
Thank you, Kevin. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak in opposition that's not on the floor? Anybody for who is not, who didn't realize where to put the name on here? Not the name, but just to check before it's not. Okay. Is there any questions, general questions that you wish to ask Green Developments or administration on behalf of the board? Ken, can you remind me what time we began? 6:30.
I have 6:40.
Green, is there anything that you wanted to speak to the group?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. My name is Jim Grant. I'm with Green Development, the developer of this parcel. Just to address the concern regarding the trees, we're well aware of their maturity, their feature for the residents of Crossfield and as a gateway into the town of Crossfield on the highway. We will be getting our list to assess the quality and kind of things as possible. The placement of this is the primary concern. We're about 60 feet into what would be the rear yard of the lots that back onto it, as you can see from the layout. When you first road in, it has the lots with the houses at the front and access to the front, and then the rear yards at the back are adjacent to the battery. So these would be surveys that identified about 60 feet into the lot. So that's problematic for positioning the house, and then concerned with the maturity of we think the greenhouse is about 8 to 60 or so for the most part, and then there's saplings that suckers have come on since then too. We think that the age of them and the spread of them, that they could be at risk of causing property damage to the houses that will be built there. So what we're aiming to do is assess the quality, keep it as many as we can, as early as we can. We will be planting trees looking on the south side of them, so closer to the road, closer to what would be the rear property line of both lots. And in greater numbers of probably where they're now, I think roughly there's about 36 or so on my rough count. And we'll certainly be probably planting as many, the closer to the road, as it becomes a future street for another generation.
Well, we have till 7:11, so anybody's welcome to speak if they like.
So if I may, trees planted
The usual nursery stock of 22 or 3 inches, so admittedly, we cannot say we don't have the trees currently. Short patch.
What species mixed with it?
We will have, that's the architect make a recommendation for that.
What species are they now? Are they poplar or?
They, I think they look like balsam poplars, which are the typical tree that survives our environment here.
Okay. Anything from planning, administration?
Just to amplify on the trees, we had a conversation on trees, and we love trees. We view them as an asset. We're not going, the point of view of administration, the point of view of developers, is not chop them down. If they can be saved and in a practical way, we will. It obviously needs to be consistent with a viable tree and the safety of the house that's going to be next to it.
So in respect to Kevin's question, then the reality is, with this ASP, those are yards along the limit there. So the reality is that those trees are 60 feet, I think, identified into those yards. So, according to my calculation, unless you're on the farthest east side and you are near some of the water features, those whatever trees would be further west of that would be gone. Because just for point of clarity, I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing, or that it doesn't make sense one way or the other. You identified other trees to be planted, you identified to be working with arborists and architects for landscaping, et cetera, et cetera. And you also mentioned that, yeah, you're starting fresh with smaller trees that work their way up to the next generation versus something that's mature there. just for point of clarity, when we say some of them will survive, it would be very few, if any. The reality is they're in the way of this area structure plan we have to grow. Is that fair to say?
Well, we are going to be oversizing those lots in terms of depth, to try to get the property as much as possible. We anticipate a normal house depth could be very changed with a lot of other bigger now. And once we've created a lot, sold a lot, and centralized a lot, that's becoming starting our so people are free to do their properties. So can be in a position to guarantee not only the stay there, but we can anticipate that they can stay there at least until a house is bought down there and see that they're not.
Oh, I got you. So it wouldn't be a rush to get rid of them, but if it interfered with the new homeowners,
Depending on
layout, they may want to keep it, they may not.
Because you're saying that then it would become their private tree. So it isn't anything that that the town has to maintain, but much like a private tree on your existing property now, it's your determination whether you keep it or
And
not.
they very on properties.
And if I understand correctly, this area structure plan was adopted by council?
Except for, I think,
For the area structure plan, as well as rebuilding.
So, question, if it's third reading, that means it's going through then, or?
If council does a third reading and decides to pass it through majority vote, then that's correct. It would be adopted as
So the current layout of the roads and everything is part of the area structure plan, so that's it, then it's set. Right?
correct, yeah. That's correct. There can be minor tweaking if there's an engineering issue or something comes up, but generally that's correct. This is the overall general plan. There might be
So
some
then even if we
changes.
get a few hundred people decide a position against losing the trees or changing the plan, it doesn't matter. It's gone.
Well, I think democracy in action is never a waste, and you can always send the message and let people know, but procedurally, it would be coming a little late in the game, proceeding. It would be better to have a petition like that tonight or earlier if it was a big concern to 100 plus people from a procedural standpoint. Doesn't mean folks up here don't care, it just means we also have to be fair to folks. If we make decisions one way or the other, those decisions are set.
Well, just that they have a green space in there, I don't know what they're gonna be, or what their architect's gonna do with the green space in there. To me, you could have part of that green space, redesignate and move everything up and save the trees in the green space.
Or what would you use that space for other than to have those trees on it?
As a park, put a walkway through it so people can use it.
My only concern with that is if you do get an arborist, if there is something in which poplar trees become green and the leaves will green, you know, they grow and you touch the base of the tree or a branch or whatever it rots from the inside. So if we did change those things in trees, we bring in an arborist and we're still.
But they said they were gonna do an arborist report, right?
Yeah.
So, the thing is, the point I made about the wind that those trees are, if any of those are rotten, they'd be down by now. The kind of stress that they're under all the time. These are out in the exposed area and they get high winds all the time.
Yeah.
So if there's any rotten trees, they wouldn't be up.
Well, I just know, I just speak from the poplar tree that I have in my yard,
Yeah.
and it was green and growing great,
And
and it was rotten.
I don't want to debate trees. I think that you made very clearly, and you've done a nice job articulating your concern. And those are concerns council can sit here and consider. And if folks want to say, we're not for the third reading because we want to assess further what you're talking about with these trees, they have that power. So that's why you're here, voicing this opinion, because we're listening. So that's good.
Question with that. If it was deemed that park to be on that side, you don't feel that that would be too close to the highway? With like kids and
Well,
restrooms and stuff like
the
that?
fact is, all the kids from Sunset play over there now. So if they had a crosswalk and a fence to go in another park that's over there already, they would still be playing. Because that's, the fact is now, they play there now as it is, without any fence or any walkway, crosswalk or anything, right?
They play there now because there is none of that stuff there. Because I know that all the kids and stuff, they want to go to those areas where, you know, they can live on the edge and stuff like that. And if it was clean and manicured,
Wow.
they still, and that's, I'm just playing,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out, because for me, I'd be concerned if my daughter was playing that close to a highway,
Yeah,
for myself.
and that's why I want that speed limit farther down,
That's
close to
what I
Madden
want.
too,
That's
because
what
I'm
I
tired of
want.
those guys coming through there so fast.
That's why I want to put a roundabout in the slow ball too.
Yes.
So you folks came in a little bit later. Did you, wish to speak for or against? No? James, you just pass it over to us and sign it. Thanks, Doug. What about, so we've talked about trees. Is there anything else that people have questions in regards to this in terms of how it may affect the population, or how it may affect what the build-out timeframes are? Anything, any thoughts or things you want to ask when you have this group here? It's hard to get this whole group together. Ask questions.
My personal,
Don't get into personal.
Not a personal opinion.
my concern is the lack of a pathway, no side, pathway side, no side, my side.
Say that for the public.
How are you going to put a pathway in?
Hey, guys, we'll say that debate for the public.
Yeah, so
Debate, we'll debate then.
See if you had a park there with a pathway through. it'd be
I'm gonna have to use my hammer pretty soon, start beating me again. Thank you. I guess my question for Green is, first I'll echo what you said, Kevin, that is that, I too am not against development, and from my perspective, it's flattering and, exciting that you're interested in that community. That's good, that's a real positive. We love Crossville, and it's always nice to have that reaffirmed, other people see what we see. My question, I guess, is what's your overall vision for our community, even get beyond this ASB, and maybe even just talk about where you see Crossville going, what attracted you to our community, and maybe just take a few moments to make us feel good.
Well, first of all, we, I guess it's very when we have an opportunity to purchase land, which is as I understand it, that we can hold for some time. It's kind of that we want to do adjacent course and we want to do this out. So it's the primary matter. We're able to successfully do the deal. The attraction to Crossville is certainly what we identified as a growth market. It's the underdeveloped
to say something here about this sewage you got down here.
Does it have anything to do with, this area structure plan?
Right?
Does it have anything to do with this area structure plan?
Well, it's going to be, because that sewage is all going to go into it.
Okay, fair enough. Just had to make sure you're tying it together. So the question, if I understand correctly, what's the plan with all the sewage that comes from these developments?
Well, I'd like to know when, like you're going to start developing this, when are you going to fix that sewage lagoon so it can handle the amount of sewage?
Sure.
It's choked right up right now.
I'll defer that question over to administration, who's been working on that file, if you guys want to go ahead and speak to that.
Well, I was talking to Mr. Boston the other day, but we didn't really come up with too many solutions.
Well, first of all, to specifically answer as it addresses the land use designation of the area structure plan, the sanitary water handling has been reviewed by multiple engineers. And, the people with the Ivory and the leader on their crest have all approved plans going forward. So in terms of handling phase 1 and 2, we're good to go. We're confident that the engineers have a solution that is workable. You are correct. Going forward, in the 3 to 5 year time frame, we are going to have to address sanitary wastewater disposal issues from a capacity point of view. And we're working diligently to evaluate all of the options. We've had formal engineering study done to lay out from us, from a technical point of view, the options that are on the table. And we're working with our partners at the province in Alberta Transportation, Government Wastewater Partnership, and Water for Life program to make sure that when development gets beyond what's currently envisioned in the 2, 3, 4, 5 year out phase, that we've got adequate capacity to handle it.
Actually, you're over that now. Say your population gets to, what would you say the number would be?
Currently, our lagoons are capable of handling about 4,000 people, according to the engineers. We're going to be bringing some irrigation capacity on board to increase that number. We think that irrigation will add us about 40%, which would ultimately get us to, let's say, 5,500-ish for population capacity that we could service. Obviously, we believe that the long-term solution is a wastewater pipeline through Airdrie to the central.
Too.
And we are working as hard as we can work on that. You and I had the pleasure of having a personal meeting with you in my office. Was it last week, the week before? I'm starting to blur the timelines here, but I can tell you that the long-term solution to our wastewater issues is a file I touch and work on every single day. It is the highest
I would believe that.
priority that the town has, and if this town is to grow, we need to make sure we've got a viable long-term wastewater solution.
Well, that's what I think you should have in place before you grow the town.
Well, we're growing within the capacity we currently have,
You don't
and
have-
we're going to add capacity in a timely way to accommodate additional development when we need to.
You don't have the capacity now because you can't get rid of the water. And that lagoon fills up and it goes right over the top. And that water is all shooting in through area. And I don't understand why you don't get this in place before you start building them.
Well, Ken, maybe I'll speak to that for a minute. But the way it works, sir, here is we go with what our experts and professionals say, particularly the engineers. The engineers, because I'm not an engineer. Guy's not an engineer. Joe is not an engineer.
Who are your engineers?
Urban developments is their engineer. Urban systems, sorry. And urban systems is good at what they do, they're qualified, and they're fully recognized by the province and everybody else as qualified engineers. They know what they're doing. We're not overflowing the burden. We have one discharge a year, you're right about that. It'd be nice to have another one. There are bridge gap measures that we're working with Alberta Environment on that would allow secondary discharge potentially in the year, et cetera, as we have a plan, but they will not entertain, we need to have a plan in place in order to get some of those bridge gap measures in place, because they want us working towards the end goal, which Ken referred to, which we are doing. We've done an extensive study that was expensive, taxpayers had to pay for, to figure out what our best options are. Ken talked about the pipeline sell through every year.
I can understand that.
No, but just hear me out. So we're looking at that as probably the best option, but this is the hard part about running a community. There is no such thing as money to build sewage capacity on the speculation that people are gonna show up and develop and wanna be a part of your community because you have this great sewage capacity. That money doesn't exist. The way the provincial government funds, and we need their funding in order to do these projects, is you have to prove to them in a business case that people want to live in your community. By having green here, that's starting to make the case that people want to live here. We have another developer that's making that case. The province reacts in a just-in-time measure. That's the system. Kind of like our healthcare, whether you like it or not, that's the system. If you can prove you have the capacity, the people, the demand, they will respond, and everything is done just in time. So it is a little unsettling for folks like you and me. I like to plan things out ahead and have all my ducks in a row, but the reality is we develop a couple of phases, we start to show them that we're reaching close capacity. We're not there yet. Ken's quite right, we're not at capacity, contrary to what he said, but we are getting there. And as our business case is made that we are getting close, the province will have no choice but to assist us, and it will help if we put some money aside, which we are doing in our budget this year. We put a significant amount of money, I don't remember what the amount was, towards sewage upgrades, and we continue to be committed to putting money aside for sewage upgrades every year over year, so that when the time comes that the province comes in and says, okay, we can fund 50%, 70%, 75, 80%, whatever it is they choose to fund, which is historically what they'll fund, or those kinds of percentages, we will have the balance. And it will be in the bank, and it will be ready to go, as opposed to scrambling and going after the taxpayer, which we won't do. We will continue to hold taxes to the rate of inflation only, and that's our commitment. So we want to be prepared in 3 to 5 years to make a major investment with the province into our sewage system, which would mean pipeline likely to integrate. So that's what we're doing. The plan's in place. It will happen, but we have to have the demand to get the province to release the funds. So it is a little bit of a tightrope, but it's one we're walking successfully, and I'm confident we're going to get across. So I think we'll be fine. But you're very right to bring it up. It's front and foremost on our minds as well, to make sure that we balance these two things. The need to grow with sewage capacity.
And currently, when we discharge, that is within our license to discharge, and that license is generated by Alberta Environment. So even though your referral of it going down the creek and into Airdrie, et cetera, that it basically has the blessing of the province on how we deal with our sewer at this time.
Well, nobody what?
That has the approval of the province on how we discharge our sewer at
Well, I
this time.
realize that, but you're putting out when that thing was built, it was built for a population of about 3,000 people. And since then, it's exploded. Look at the population in the industrial park.
Well, we're still under, you're right, there are people in the industrial park. Our census says we're still just under 3,000 people. But there's been a lot of, and we just did that last year.
Yeah, and
So-
that thing is pretty well obsolete. They're supposed to pump that once a year.
Well,
It's full, it's
90, I don't know what the numbers are, I don't know what the number, but I would venture north of 90% of all municipalities outside, Leduc, Airdrie, Edmonton, Calgary, and some
Yeah.
other major ones, are all on lagoons.
I know.
So they may be obsolete, but it's the infrastructure that exists in this province. So we work within the current infrastructure that we have in order to bridge the gap over to more modern systems. You're quite right. Obsolete or not, it's effective. It still works. The water that we're discharging is environmentally clean. It goes through all the proper aeration stages and anaerobic and all the different whatever processes. And it's clean when it comes out, clean enough to go in the street without causing harm. So we're doing everything that we're supposed to do, including putting the plan together to bridge the gap you identified. I thank you for bringing that up. It's 7:14. Thank you to everybody who spoke. We're done this meeting, so I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. And we're going to go ahead and call the regular meeting to order at whatever time it is right now.